All right, so little test review. You're gonna have a. I'll go over an example of each, but for the test, you're gonna have to write an equation on 14 problems. So remember, I said this is really heavy on writing equations. So let's go over kind of the types that you're gonna see. So there's only going to be one that you have to write an equation in point slope form. So remember that is y minus y1 equals m x minus x1. Now you can use this for other equations, but there's one where the answer should be left in this form. And it should be an easy question if you memorize that formula, because it'll just be a point and it'll say the slope, and you're just going to plug it in. Y minus 4 equals m, x minus from the formula, and then minus from the negative 3, or the negative from the negative 3 makes that a plus. So remember that when you plug in the points into the coordinates into point slope form, you notice the 4 is now looks like a negative 4, and the negative 3 looks like a positive 3. That's because of the minus signs in the formula. Okay, but you'll have one that's just like that. Plug it in, boom, you're finished. Okay, so the rest of them, the answers will end up that you write an equation, well, except for one of them, but we'll get to that at the end, will be slope-intercept form. So the answers will look like that. Okay, so you're going to have a couple of them where these should be super easy. It's just going to say the slope is negative 3, and it's going to say the y-intercept is 6 or whatever. And so you just plug it in. Negative 3x plus 6. Done. Okay, really simple. So there's two of those. So 3 of the problems to write an equation are just plugging it in. You don't even have to like add anything together or subtract or nothing like that. Okay, you're going to have 4 of them where they're going to give you 2 points. No, I don't want to do that one. Alright, so we need the slope. So change in y from 5 to 1 goes down 4. Change in x, negative 2 to negative 4 goes down 2. And when I divide that, I get positive 2. Okay, so here's where you have a choice of what to do. And I don't really care which one you do it. I'm going to show you both, and you can pick. So you can do point slope form, because I have a point, actually I have 2 points, and I have the slope. So if I chose the first point, the negative 2, 5, and I plug it in, the y1 is 5, slope is 2, and then remember minus minus turns into a plus. Then I distribute. the 5 over, and there's my equation. So that's one option, starting with point slope form. The other option is to start in slope intercept form. And we don't have this x1, y1 like we do on point slope. We have just the y and the x, so I can still take my point and plug it in. But what I'm looking for, like I know the slope is 2, so down here somewhere, I know my answer is going to be y equal 2x. I just don't know what's going to go over here to the right. So if I plug in 5, 2 for the slope, negative 2 for the x, and then I have a b. So 2 and negative 2 is negative 4. Add 4, and I get the b part is 9. Should get the same answer. Okay, so I don't care which option you pick, you obviously are going to get the same answer. I kind of like the slope-intercept form answer or part, but that's just me. Okay, so also remember, so let's look at another one with 2 points, because there's going to be probably at least one that's a shortcut, if you will. Excuse me. So again, okay, I need to find the slope. So from 2 to 4, that goes up 2. And from negative 3 to 0, that goes up 3. So the slope is 2/3. The part you really want to remember is this point. Anything with a 0 for the x part means the y-intercept is just that number. So I can go straight to slope-intercept form, and I'm done. Now, 0 for the y part doesn't mean it's an x-intercept, but I don't care about the x-intercept, I just care about y-intercept. Okay, so if there's a 0 here, that's a y-intercept. If you plugged it in and worked it out like you did on the other ones, you'd get the same answer, but with a fraction, it could end up being weird. So, also remember that this is the same problem. So when you see the function, just write it as coordinates, and then I think at the end the answer will, instead of y, it'll have the f of x thing. Okay. All right, so 4 problems where it's going to give you 2 points. All right, you're going to have 2 where it's going to be a line on a graph Okay, so the coordinates might be there, they might not be there, but I find it easy enough to just kind of say, well, I'm going to go down 2, that's the change in y, so I went negative 2, and then I went to the right 6. So the slope is change in y over change in x. I can reduce that to negative 1/3. And then the y-intercept is right there, positive 2. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 2. Alright, so find the slope with the points, and I just kind of make the little triangle. Doesn't matter if the triangle goes on the bottom or the top, I just work from the left side to the right side. So I go up or down first, and then I go always to the right. Alright, so 2 of those. Then we're going to have 2 parallel. So the parallel ones will give you an equation. And it'll say write an equation of the line that's parallel to that one and goes through that point. So remember, parallel means same slope. So I think those slope-intercept ones are better, but so it's going to start off with 1/2 x. I know that's part of the answer. I just got to figure out the number at the end. So I'm going to plug it in to the excuse me. I'm going to plug in the point. So 1 for y, 1/2, and then negative 6. And then instead of 4, I'm going to put b. So 1/2 of 6 is 3, but negative 3. And then add 3. And b equals 4. Okay. So if for perpendicular, remember we have negative reciprocal slope. So for if I did the same problem but perpendicular, instead of the slope being 1/2, it's going to be negative 2. I'm going to switch it from positive to negative, and then I'm going to flip it over. Negative reciprocal. So when I plug it in, 1 for the y, negative 2 for the slope, negative 6 for the x part. So 2 times negative 2 and negative 6 is positive 12. Subtract 12, and I get minus 11. Okay, so 2 parallel, 2 perpendicular. Take the slope from the line, and then take the point and plug it in, and then you'll have your new b part. Okay. All right, so one more sequence, or one more equation. It's the equation of a sequence. So if I did 6, 8, 10, 12. So while I'm doing this, you will have like 2 problems where you're just going to have to like, what's the next 2 numbers or 3 numbers? So you'll have some where it's like, okay, well, it's 14, 16, 18. Okay, so you'll have 2 of them where just the answer is the next 3 numbers. But you will have to write an equation of one of them. So you need to have that formula memorized. So that's an A at the beginning. Make it look more like A. Oops. So the A sub 1, we call it, is the first number. and the d at the end is the common difference. So if I look at this problem, I notice that they all go up by 2. So that's the common difference. So the equation would be 6, because that's the first number, and minus 1, and the common difference is 2. So then I'm going to distribute 2 times n is 2n minus 2. And then I'm going to combine the numbers there. So I get 6 minus 2 is 4. It'll always be kind of that backwards distribute, and then they'll have a number on the front and a number at the end. Okay. Alright, so just one of those. Alright, so we've got 15 of the problems so far. So you'll have 2 problems that deal with correlation. You should not miss these. Okay, that has positive correlation because the points are generally going up. Negative correlation because they're going down. And if it's just all over the place, no correlation. Okay, so 2 of those. Alright, and then the last, you'll have 2 piecewise functions. So remember, this is the one where it's broken up into pieces. So it means if I had f of 4, it means I plug it into the top one because it says if x is greater than 1. Well, 4 is greater than 1, so I plug it into the top and I get 8. If it said f of negative 2, negative 2 is less than or equal to 1, so 3, negative 2 minus 2, and I get negative 8. If I had f of 1, you got to pay attention to where's the and equal. The and equal's on the bottom one. Plug it in there. Okay, so there's your 20 problems. Okay, like I said at the beginning of the chapter, the main focus is writing equations. 14 of the problems are going to write an equation. Some of them are super easy. You just got to plug it in and you're done. So I kind of feel like the correlation problems, those 2 you should get right. The sequences, what are the next 3 numbers, you should get that right. The piecewise, really just plug it in the right one. It's simple. You should get that right. That's 6 problems so far. 3 of the equations, you're just plugging it in and you're done. You don't have to figure out the slope. You don't have to do like anything. It just tells you here's the slope and here's the intercept, or here's a point and here's a slope, and you just plug it in. So you're up to 9 problems right now that you should just get right if you're studying. So that's 45% right there. You don't have that much longer to go to get a C. Okay, so take the time to study on that stuff. Watch the video again if you need to. Okay? Alright. Have a great rest of your day, guys. We'll see you tomorrow for the test.